Yo, 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 Big L is in the building. Talking
What
ball with
up?
the boys. Talking ball with the boys. Back at it again with another
Off
edition of
off
some.
the bye week blues.
Yeah. Both of our teams. I was proud not to have to watch my team call plays and run offense. So I was I was totally okay with just watching some other
Yeah, we
teams.
had some good games Saturday.
Yeah,
Some
nice
really good
slate.
games Saturday.
Yeah, it all started off with a great Friday night.
Yeah.
Great Friday night for me. I guess for you too. We don't like that team out west. So we can hop right into that one, baby, because the Noles are back to where they were last year, losing. They caught that road L, baby, like 30 years reincarnated with the old
Throwback
school
unis,
feel. Yeah. Virginia topples the Noles in overtime, double overtime
double
Friday
OT.
night. Yeah, I think we were both surprised by it because we felt like Florida State had kind of turned the page, but again, we kind of didn't know because you get take that week 1 win against Bama, which is a great win. It was a great win. We even said it then. This was a great win. Like they came out and took it to Bama week 1, and then you knew you weren't going to get anything from these next 2 games they had, and so it was like, okay, this is going to be a road test. Virginia is a capable team. Didn't know how good Virginia is. Still don't know how good Virginia is. So now, like again, after you get these type of games, you kind of can go another game, you kind of get the resume built and say, okay, this team's this is who they are. But yeah, I think I was more disappointed in Florida State's defense, and the fact that Chandler Morris and Virginia did pretty well on offense. I mean, Florida State's they're still really running the ball well, but they didn't score when they needed to, and the critical turnovers in the game. So they go down with a loss, man. So it kind of dampens the Florida State Miami top 10 game this weekend. But it is what it is.
Yeah, it was probably a trap game going into, I felt like a lot of fans and it seemed like a lot of the Florida State players were looking ahead to this week and not thinking about Friday night in Charlottesville. They thought it was going to be an easy, road win. Anytime you go on the road for the first time for the season is going to be difficult, especially if it was a night. It was a night game. I think if it was a Saturday, 12 noon, 3:30, probably wouldn't be as bad. People want to say that that's not that big of a deal, but it is. It really is because you're giving people a whole day to just get juiced up and ready to go, and then you start the game with a fumble. Virginia capitalizes off of that, and then Castellanos throws a pick. I mean, it wasn't like the defensive player just made a hell of a play. It
That was
hit
a great
as
play.
he's
That was a great
throwing.
play.
He hits it, catches it, and they're able to go down, and you're in the hole 14-0. Just like that. I mean, they fought back and got it, it was 21-21 at the half. But for the most part, like you said, the defense didn't show up. Virginia had over 200 yards rushing. It felt like they were able to run the ball at will. And then they killed Florida State with the underneath passes.
Yeah. What killed me was, late in that game when they finally got that stop on 4th down, you're thinking, all right, this thing's over. And
Yeah.
then Elliott and those guys go totally conservative. I mean, I guess they had been running the ball well, but it's just like that's
Yeah.
when you might have to have a little wrinkle just to get a first down to win the game.
Exactly.
And they run it 3 times, right at the. I mean, Chandler Morris scrambled on 2nd down, but it was like 2 runs right up the middle for no yards, and you're punting it back to him. It's like you got to put the game away, man. You got to
But I
just
think it
generate a
was
first down.
Yeah, it was one of those where Florida State, they, and the defensive staff probably is saying they're not going to put the ball in the air right here. They're gonna run it. We just got to be sound on defense and make a play and get the ball back. And I think they did that. Like you say, I didn't really like the play calls because when they got the turnover, when they got the pick, I was with Ricky and I was like, yeah, the game's over. And he's like, nah, we still got a chance. I was like, dude, how they been running the ball the whole night? I don't see it, but hey, they got the ball back. They were able to tie it up and go to overtime. And then even in in double overtime, Deuce Robinson, you got to catch that. You got to catch that ball. You have 4 opportunities to catch it. And then I still see these yahoos out here saying that, oh, he had possession. I'm like, you ever play football in your life? Do you know? I mean, I know we don't know what a catch is, but that clearly wasn't a catch as he's patting the ball as he was still going out of bounds. And, it's I just didn't like it, it felt like I think Virginia did a great job of keeping Castellanos in the pocket, and it felt like he panicked a little bit, and there were several throws where he was heaving it off his back foot.
Yeah.
You know, and then part of that is he probably couldn't see over the offensive lineman, and he's trying to create, space by backing up, and it just didn't look right. And I mean, they had opportunities to put this game away and win, even being down 14-0, and they just couldn't do it because they couldn't stop the run. I mean, I hope they run that 3-3-5 this weekend, because if they
Yeah.
run it against Miami, sure, we'll take 3-4 yards a pop
Yeah.
whenever you
Yeah. No,
play.
yeah. I think I came away with Deuce Robinson as a pretty good player. He's a beast.
No, he's good.
He had some big drops. He had a couple of big drops in the game as well. But yeah, like that play, I've never seen a play where you touch the ball at basically the front end of the end zone and you're still battling with it all the way to the back of the end zone. That was a wild,
like
that was a
2
wild
yards
play.
out of the back of the end zone.
And I guess we talked about it too. Kudos. I know it's been happening all this whole season, but seeing it again, like kudos to the ACC letting us in on those replays, because it's cool that you get to hear what they're talking about, what they're looking at, what they're looking for, and not just saying, "Hey, Johnny, where are you going for dinner tonight after the game?" We get to hear,
and they're all confirming.
right?
Do we all agree? Because
we agree on this.
we never knew what they were saying to each other.
One guy might be like, "I don't know, maybe." Like, all right, you win the veto. You're the guy.
So you're the tiebreaker.
Yeah, so they all agree, and that's a cool thing, which I thoroughly enjoy when ACC games have that. So that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
got to wrap up on defense, man.
Castellano's played about as well as I think he could. He's still a problem in the ground game. Like he's an extra man. And like I say, they ran the ball well, and they're running the ball like they're the number 2 rushing team in the country behind Navy. So Gus has got them running. So it's like, I think the biggest disappointment probably to me has been Squirrel White. You want to compliment him with Deuce Robinson, and he just hasn't really particularly been like a number 2. I know Danzy's been pretty good. They're still trying to.
Danzy's your explosive.
Yeah, he's kind of your gadget.
Guy.
Yeah, he's your gadget guy. He's going to run the reverses and the end arounds and all that type of stuff. Special teams guy. Pittman at tight end has been okay. But yeah, I think the big takeaway is, the defense didn't play well against Virginia. And here's the thing. They played well against Florida State, or excuse me, against Alabama. That week 1 game, they played really well. They got after Ty Simpson,
they were physical. They were flying down, hitting people.
And a part of that too is just, like I say, playing on the road, playing at home.
Playing on the road, man. It's tough.
Yeah, it's a Friday night game. It's a weird game. Like I say, they basically let the snake bite them, and they got clipped. So now you got to get off the mat. Exactly, you got to get off the mat and see what happens.
Short week. I mean, you have an extra day to prepare. Not a short week, but an extra day prepare because you played Friday. So you give the guys off probably Saturday, or you probably did some conditioning to get the lactic acid out and all of that. So they probably did something Saturday, or either off Saturday, off Sunday, and then back at it to get ready for the Miami week. But I think, like you say, I think part of it, they could have been looking ahead, feeling themselves, going into Charlottesville.
Feeling themselves, I think, is definitely one of them.
Yeah. And then, Virginia had nothing to lose. Like you say, 30-year anniversary. They bring out the throwback uniforms. God knows who else they had there, a lot of those guys. But that's no excuse. There's no excuse on one of the run plays that the Virginia running back scored on. He runs straight up the gut, and he breaks like 5 or 6 tackles, and you're just like, is anyone going to bring him down? And that was like throughout the night where you saw guys just missing tackles and not wrapping up properly and just bringing the guy down. Because even and they were very undisciplined, even on the QB run. He's pulling it out and he's running it, and guys are out of position. And even, when Virginia, they're not like a super tempo team, but there were times where you could see the defense trying to communicate, and they were confused, and Virginia was just killing them on little short crossers or little short routes. But when they were running traditional routes, I thought Florida State did pretty good. And, they created a couple turnovers themselves, especially at the end of the first half, to get back in it, where the Virginia quarterback made a bad read and he was
playing really good. And then he kind of just all of a sudden just started turning the ball over a little bit.
Yeah. Because if you're Virginia, you imagine going in at the half 14-7.
Yeah.
I mean, at least 14-7 or 20 or 21-7. Instead, you finished the first half 21-21, which you're still feeling good about yourself because ultimately it's 0-0, and you're like, hey boys, we're still playing, we're in this. No one's giving us a chance. Let's just keep playing. and I thought they did a really good job. Anyone seen Squirrel White since Saturday?
Yeah,
I think, did
I
anyone
think
do a wellness check? Because
I think he
that
survived
field
it.
storming was crazy.
He survived it, but I think they said that there was probably about double digits in the teens, like injuries with being trampled on. Like
That's
it's
crazy,
just
dude. It's
well, their setup was just different than a lot of setups. They
yeah,
basically don't have
yeah. They're right there. They don't
it's a
have that
grass.
back end
Yeah,
zone. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. There's no wall to jump over. So like even if you have to jump over a wall, like a lot of these places, that's like a little bit of a slow process. But this was literally just like the start finish line of the Boston Marathon, except everybody was
but to me,
50 yards.
how do you not prepare for that on a Friday night where you have a top 10 team coming in and you say there's
Yeah,
possible, and you just have even. I'm not saying don't let them rush the field, but at least hold them off enough to where the Florida State players could get off the field. Because, like I said,
yeah.
they
I mean,
literally
it
when
was,
that by the
oh
time
yeah,
that ball hit the ground,
yeah,
he was
no, for sure.
engulfed.
Oh yeah, like I say, I don't know how any of those three guys that were down there, the two Virginia guys or Squirrel White, didn't get like trampled on. So it's just yeah, it's just the setup of their stadium is weird to where like literally it's just like hit it and they're like I mean they're literally on the field already.
Literally
So
hit it
I mean
like a NASCAR race.
it was kind of nuts for sure. And
Yeah. So if you're Florida State, you're you don't want that first ACC loss. It puts you behind the eight ball a little bit, but not you're not out of it. You still have everything to
no,
play for.
they're
How do
fine. Like I
you
say,
regroup?
yeah, they're fine. I think even if they were to lose this weekend,
They're still
um,
in it.
yeah, because the ACC, in my opinion, is not as good as it's just not. They're one of the top four teams. You know what I'm saying? So what it boils down to is if Miami takes a spot, then it comes down to, you know,
Florida State,
Clemson.
Georgia Tech.
It's exactly Georgia Tech. I'm still putting Clemson in there. The sad thing is, but I think it's time to write them off. But
No, they're done.
um, I agree. But yeah, who's going to be is Virginia? I mean, can Virginia run the table? Who knows? So
Yeah, because
like,
they only have one loss. But like I say, in the clubhouse right now, it's Georgia Tech, and they
yeah,
escaped with one Saturday. I mean, we'll get to that in a minute. But
yeah, they're
yeah,
living on the edge for sure.
yeah, with one loss, and then you're hoping that you don't have to do the whole ACC tiebreaker BS at the end of the season. But how do you regroup? How do they refocus for this week's game, rivalry game? It's we'll see, we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, the Gators and Canes didn't play, so the rest of the nation, we had a lot of top matchups, a lot of ranked games, all the way from noon to nighttime. It was loaded. The fully slate
It
was
was
loaded last week.
great.
It
Not
was
just
pretty.
loaded, but just the games were
Yeah,
really good.
the games were all actually highly entertaining, back and
Yeah,
forth.
the Wake Forest Georgia Tech game to start Saturday off was
That
entertaining.
was a pretty wild game for
They were
sure.
at what 21-7, 21-3, something like that. And then, I thought they did a great job of slowing down the Georgia Tech offense. And I think what caught up with Wake Forest is when Bobby Ashford had to go out for like 4 or 5 series, and Georgia Tech they were able to just squeeze and do what they do and just play great defense. Let's score points. And then Thomas he got back in the game. It was tied up, and it was a hell of a game.
Yeah, no, for
And
sure. Like I say, Georgia Tech. What's I just feel like it's hard to win games like that week in and week out, and eventually something you're going to get clipped, and it's eventually going to catch up to you.
And
Now
there's a
that
lot to put on your quarterback too
yeah,
to
no,
take that wear and
we've
tear.
been talking about that since week one when they played Colorado.
Yeah,
Now the only thing
he's
I just
feeling
pulled
it.
I just pulled up their schedule. Man, Georgia Tech
They don't
schedule
play
is
anybody.
God. I mean, I know we've talked about it before, but they play Virginia Tech next. They're off this week, so they get a nice, well-deserved bye. Virginia Tech's awful. Duke's not very good. Syracuse is not good without their quarterback. Now we saw that.
Mm-hmm.
NC State's not very good. Boston College is horrible. Pitt is mediocre. We'll see how they are way back towards the end of the season. They play Georgia. So, like,
But at the same time, would it
whew,
surprise you if they lost 2 ACC games?
yes, it would.
It wouldn't
With,
surprise me
with
because
that
it's
schedule, it
just
would.
with that schedule, you would say
I mean,
technically
yeah. I
yes,
mean, obviously,
but
Wake Forest. Like I say, I consider Wake Forest a scrub team, and they basically almost lost that game.
yeah,
So, I guess I wouldn't be surprised, but
because all it takes is one bad injury to Haynes
they
King, and
they got the easy end of this. It's crazy. They don't play anybody in the ACC
yeah,
worth a damn. They don't even
right,
play Cal. Cal's like 4-1.
yeah.
Like they don't
That's
even play
what
Cal.
I'm saying. Like
They don't even play
you
Cal.
they slayed the monster in Clemson. They got out of there with a W, and it's just it should be
Yeah.
easy pickings the rest of the way, but
Yeah,
they're going to
they don't
lose
even play.
one or
They don't even
two.
play Virginia. Like I said, they don't play Virginia. They don't play Louisville. They're not playing Cal. They're not playing Miami. They're not playing Florida
That's the
State.
pro-
Like
that's the
that.
problem with these
Those are like
super
all the best
conferences.
teams. Those are all the best teams right
And
now.
how do you miss all of those? That's the problem with these 16 team
Yeah,
conferences.
it's definitely
Your
is.
schedule could your schedule could, like Indiana last year, it could
Yeah,
benefit
no,
you.
it totally.
But
Because
at the same
again,
time, at the end of the year, you're hypothetical. What's their best win? What's going to
yeah,
be their best win?
it's it,
3 weeks ago, Clemson was the best
yeah.
win.
That's not going to be a good win. If Clemson's
Not if they don't
if
turn it
Clemson's
around,
yeah, no, for sure. That you're 100% right. So that's where, and if they don't beat Georgia, which is you say that's their loss.
or the
So
ACC championship.
well, here you go. So that's a great hypothetical to throw out already. They lose to Georgia, they're 11-1 or whatever. Go to play you guys in the ACC title and lose that game, so they're
10 and
10 and
2,
2, or no, it'd be
11 and
11
11
11
and
and 2,
11
11
and
and
2.
2,
Yeah,
11 and 2. You're like, man, that's good. They need to get in, but like, dude, who did they beat?
yeah,
They lost to Georgia and Miami, who are going to the playoff, who are legit,
yeah,
and they couldn't handle them. And then, yeah, go down the rest of the schedule. I don't think any of these teams are going to be ranked. Like I said, Clemson would be the only one if they turn it around, but I don't really see that happening. So now that's where you're like, how do you keep this 11-2 team out? Well, if there's a 9-3 team that's got a better resume, got a couple better wins, I'd rather have them in.
yeah.
So we'll argue that one, in
Yeah, that's later
8
during the
weeks.
season, but
But yeah, that's gonna be one of those arguing points for
I
sure.
mean, looking at their, like you say, looking at their schedule, they should come out of this minimum 2 losses. If they have more than 2 losses, hey, it's on them.
Yeah,
I know you got to go and play football, and football's me and you've been talking about it the last couple of weeks. It's definitely been a week to week season so far
well,
for a
that's
lot
the
of
way you
these
kind of
teams.
that's the way you need to approach it. In all honesty, I
Yeah,
mean, I know it's old school. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be approached, but each game is different. Your scheme is going to be a little bit different. You're going to
mm-hmm.
have to do different variations on defense. You still want to run your stuff, but you got to adapt to the game. Basically,
Yeah, and
are
you
you going to be
figure,
are you going to be in a slugfest? Are you going to be in a shootout? Like, how can you play the style of the game? Basically,
yeah. Next one is Ohio State going out to UW. That was an ugly game. I
yeah.
went back and watched some of that, and I was like, it was 7-3 at the half.
Yeah,
Like,
and like I say, early in that
ugh.
game, Washington had a couple shots to maybe get on the board, and they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
They had to settle for a field goal early. They turned it over early on
Yeah,
downs.
That Ohio State defense was legit in that
Yeah, Ohio
game.
State's defense is playing tremendous, and that's basically what's holding their water. Um, Offensively, it's left a lot to be desired. I mean, and I
Yeah.
think part of it is Julian Saint's still trying to work his way into the
Yes.
offense. I
Yes.
mean, when you look at his numbers, he completed balls. I mean, he only had 6 incompletions all day. He didn't
Yeah.
throw for a
It
lot of
wasn't. Yeah, it
yards,
wasn't terrible.
but so again, they're just doing what they need to do. But again,
In his first road game.
yeah, and thinking about, like I say, thinking about Ohio State, just like we've talked about Texas, is like, have they even played since week 1? And
Mm-hmm.
so now we're about to get to a little bit more of the meat of the schedule to see, where
Mm-hmm.
they're at. So, like I say, yeah, I'm not surprised that they won the game fairly easily, and it probably could have been worse. But again, going on the road, all that, whatever. But
They took care of business.
yeah, the three.
And no, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, they did what they needed to do, and
Yeah.
that's all you want to do. What I was going to say was that I think the 3:30 window had like the most action. I mean, it was like
Back and forth. We were like,
like I say, I had the 4 box on and the 1 main box, so we literally had
yeah,
5 different games going on, and it was all 5 of the best games.
yeah.
And
It was crazy.
what's crazy is when you looked at the scores, they were all like 1 score game here, 1 score game here,
Mm-hmm.
back and forth here, back and forth here. Yeah, LSU Ole Miss was great. As ugly as it
Tennessee,
was,
Mississippi State.
Tennessee and Mississippi State was probably the best game, honestly. Even the Iowa Indiana game was tight. You had the Texas A&M Auburn game was tight. Who else was playing in that window? I'm not blanking on. Yeah. Also, that early window too. You had Illinois knock off USC. And
Yeah,
just like,
yeah, that was a hell of a good game as
I mean,
well.
that was a wild finish. So it's like I think we all thought was going to happen. We thought Ole Miss was going to be LSU. LSU did play well in that game.
That's not good enough. Trinidad Chambliss, I think he did a really good job of keeping the offense moving, converting on third downs. It wasn't like overwhelming. They only put up 24, but hey, a win is a win, and
Yeah,
you're the backup quarterback
he
that
threw it
came
for
in
he
and
threw it for he threw it for 300.
yeah. But but they weren't like really with that 300. You're thinking they're putting up a ton of points, and
Yeah,
some of it was turnovers. You turn over going into the end zone at the 2, and then he had another. I think he had a pick. I can't remember when, but just little things like that. But now you're saying if you're Lane Kiffin, do I stick with the hot hand or do I go back to the starter? Going forward, I'm
yeah,
curious to see how they play
yeah.
this QB
That'll be
situation.
interesting. That'll definitely be an interesting thing to watch.
And the
Again,
LSU just
going. I was about to say going on the other side, dude. Nussmeier, he sucks, bro.
he's
Like
hurt. He has to be hurt. He has to be hurt.
I don't know. I don't know what it is, but he's not playing great. They can't run the
No.
ball very well.
Nope.
Their offensive line's in bad shape.
Yep.
Defensively, like I said, they're playing out of their mind defense. But again,
And
there's
they
only
only
so
could
much.
do so much.
I was about to say there's only so much you can do on defense.
Yeah.
So I mean, they hung around. Like I said, they actually had a shot to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
But give credit to Ole Miss, they pulled it out and they got the big win.
Yeah. Like you
Like I
say,
say,
going forward, who's going to be the QB at in Oxford?
yeah. Same thing with Auburn going to that game real quick. Auburn's defense is actually playing really well. It's just they can't do nothing offensively, man. And Jackson Arnold just he wasn't great last year at Oklahoma, and they can't run the ball. And what's sad is they have 2 first-round wide receivers, man, that are just like good luck to y'all guys.
At this point, we just got to stop saying names of quarterbacks. Stop
Yeah.
putting these kids on pedestals because,
Yeah, he was
like
a
you look
5-star.
at
He was a 5-star. Yeah.
once again, who cares? Who
Yeah.
cares what you did in high school? When you have a guy like Trinidad Chambliss who
Right.
comes from
Yeah.
a FCS program,
Ferris
a
State.
championship FCS program, and he comes in and he's moving offense and he's getting the job done. Where you're looking at all these guys, Jackson Arnold, Austin Simmons, Arch Manning, DJ Lagway. You're throwing out all these names of generational quarterbacks who haven't done squat
Yeah.
since they've been in college. And it's like, yeah, we got to kind of give them time to develop and play. But at the same time, it's 2025. We don't want to give anyone time to develop and play.
No.
We expect results right now.
Yeah, dude. Cam Coleman has 4 catches for 18 yards, man. And he is an absolute stud. He's one of the one of the top 10 wide receivers in the country, guaranteed.
Well,
with
remember,
no
it
stats.
was like, who's
no
the best
stats.
wide receiver coming out that year? Him,
Yeah,
Jeremiah, or Ryan Williams.
Yeah. And like, dude, 6'3", 201. He's literally built just like Jeremiah.
Mm-hmm.
And what's crazy is I saw a picture of him the other day leaving like the stadium or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Dude is cut, ripped. I mean, he's you can tell he's been in the weight room in their program. Like, he's well put together. And like I say, he's
and then you get a transfer
wasted,
Singleton.
bro.
Yeah, and then you get Singleton coming over from Auburn Georgia Tech over to Auburn. And like you say, you can't find ways. Well, I got one for you. Here you go. Hugh Freeze, 3 years at Auburn. He's 1 in 10 versus ranked opponents. He's 14-16 overall, and he's 5-13 in SEC play.
Yeah, he's been terrible. I was listening to that one. There's a new podcast guy that I listen to. They call him the film guy. I think his name's Brooks Austin.
Yeah.
Have you seen him?
Been around. Yeah, he's been around for a while.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I kind of started watching more of his stuff recently. He's like, yeah, man, they're almost tied to the hip. Like, it's like Auburn has paid him too much money, and it's almost like if you basically fire him, you're going to burn this roster to the ground. I mean, that's what they do anyways when you fire people, but it's a complete rebuild, so it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't type keep them. So it's like, what do you do? Because that's the big question. Like, you're still like we said it last week. They're still the little sisters of the state. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Alabama runs that state. And
I think what you do is I think they're in a unique situation where they probably have to wait to the end of the season, but they probably need to narrow down 2 or 3 guys that they really like and hope that they're there. and make a quick transition, like you say, so roster retention. But at the same time, these kids a lot of times are just, as soon as they hear their coach is fired, they're just like, all right, I'm gone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
For the most part. But yeah, big win by A&M. It was ugly, but they got the win, and they're still in the SEC race.
Yeah, what's crazy too is like you think about A&M. Say, here's a prime example, and they've got an interesting game this weekend too, buddy. With Mississippi State.
Yeah.
That Notre Dame game was so weird because neither team played defense, and it was just a high scoring game. Then you
And then
can't
you
take
got
anything.
lucky because it should have been a holding call on that fourth down.
Right. So against UTSA and Utah State, you can't get a gauge of how good they are.
No.
So again, like, and this is going back to the Florida perspective of like, man, Florida, you really dicked around and lost that South Florida game.
Mm-hmm.
If you would have just split the two against Miami and Florida State, Miami and LSU, now we talked about
the schedule's manageable.
Yeah, you're like, Texas. We'll get into the Texas Gator breakdown here in a little bit, but like Texas, they don't look imposing offensively.
Yep.
A&M doesn't look like, we love Marcel Reed, but you only scored 16 points, and you scored a late touchdown on the big.
Throw in Mississippi State and Kentucky in there.
Mississippi State looks good right now.
Yeah, but still, you're looking at those games that are winnable.
Here's the other team you throw in that whole mix, Georgia. We'll get into them in a second here too. Like, they're a screw up away from having 2 losses. If Tennessee doesn't blow that game, we got a whole different perspective of where Georgia's at right now, and we still might when we get into that game. Like I said, it was so much going on last weekend, but yeah, I mean, it's getting good. It's getting good, buddy. It's getting real good. But yeah. The other 3:30 game, we won't really talk about it too much. I was surprised that Indiana didn't blow away Iowa.
About Tennessee and Mississippi State.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that one. That was
okay.
If you're doing it by time wise, that game started at 4:15, so we're still in the 3:30.
My bad.
We're in the 3:30 window games.
You're right.
But yeah, that Indiana game, it was kind of surprising. I guess not, because it's just each week again different games. So they scored 63 last week against Illinois. Iowa brings their lunch pail on defense. They do, and I know the big storyline of that was Mendoza cooked everybody's spreads. He's cooking spreads.
Dude.
But yeah,
4 seconds and you run 40 yards out to the back of the end zone.
I mean, he thought he runs a 4.4, so he didn't want to leave any time. He didn't want to leave any time.
Come on, I ain't trying to hear that.
Yeah,
you got to get down. Think of the betters.
Yeah,
apparently it was brought up in the press conference afterwards.
He definitely thinking about that. I ain't mad at him. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But my spread was already cooked because I lost all my other parlays I had Indiana, so it didn't matter anyways. But yeah, like Indiana, put it this way, they got a big test next week, and we'll talk about the team they play. In Oregon, who they played. But yeah, the other wild game that was going on was that overtime Tennessee Mississippi State game, and like I say, credit to Mississippi State. They've played really good out the gate. Had the big win against Arizona State. Won some other games. They ran it to the end on this one.
They just couldn't overcome their own mistakes, man.
Yeah, Tennessee again, but I think also too Tennessee's pretty damn impressive as well. They've they impressed again. Joey Aguilar, dude. Joey Aguilar, like Tennessee fans have got to be like, thank God Nico's gone, because I would much. And again, this goes back to that's a prime example. A 5-star generational alleged blah 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 quarterback in Nico Amaleva to a guy who's been at App State and kind of trying to find his way. Joey Aguilar throwing for 335, lighting it up against Mississippi State. Did the same thing as Georgia. I think we came away too, man. We love Chris Brazell too, man. That dude is nice at wide receiver.
Yeah.
But
that game
good. That was a fun game.
Yeah, no, it was really fun. Like you say, overtime, Mississippi State just couldn't. Sometimes the moment gets too big for you, and you just can't handle it, and you're in the right position. You think about the drop they had, where the kid, where Chapin just drops it in there. I mean, that was the whole weekend. Every game seemed like they had a receiver drop the ball. Tennessee had one. In the Georgia game in a second, we'll talk about that. But yeah, I think Tennessee is shaping up to be one of the teams, coming down the stretch that possibly could be an SEC championship game, even with that one loss to Georgia. I don't know the rest of their schedule, but you got to like their chances.
They got Bama, obviously. they're off this week too. So they got Arkansas, who's in a dumpster fire with firing Sam Pittman. Notre Dame beat the brakes off, and then that was one of the early games. Then they play at Bama, at Kentucky, Oklahoma, New Mexico State, Florida, Vandy. So yeah, they got a couple of tough games still.
It's it's a manageable. It's
Bama, OU. Like I say, will Mateer be back by that time? That's later in the year. That's like November, or that's like the first week of November.
I think it's like 4 weeks. They said 3-4 weeks. So he's going to be out.
He could possibly be back by that time. Shit. That's the Vandy game to close out the year. Who knows?
Right, but if you just say if they get to that game and they only have 2 losses, they're still in it for the SEC championship with 2 losses in conference. Because I don't think there's going to be a team. No, there's going to be more than 2 teams with 1 loss going in the SEC championship game.
It's going to be cannibalization for sure.
Oh we're on the path for that.
Totally, and like I said, that's especially when you have these matchups where, like we had last week, Alabama, Georgia. Somebody had to lose that game, so somebody's got that first loss.
And then I don't think anyone's going to have a Georgia Tech-esque type schedule,
right?
In the SEC,
it's the one team that has that could be the Wild. Yep.
Yeah.
They are the dark horse darlings of crappy schedules for like the unbalanced schedule that we talked about last year. Yeah, because basically all that's left in the SEC that's undefeated is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams, and I think a couple of them have to play each other. So you're going to at least have, everybody's going to have a loss pretty much. So the question is, how many? Texas hasn't even played a conference game yet. But yeah,
this week
the two night games both lived up to the billing of like 2 great games.
Especially we literally were back and forth on the projector.
Penn State Indy Lions, but we'll get to them. No, let's get to Alabama, Georgia first. I think we learned a lot about how Bama regrouped from losing that first game.
Dude, Ty Simpson looked good.
Yeah, credit to Bama for getting off the mat, playing a game on the road. Kirby's 17-0 at night, 33 home game win streak. Ty Simpson looked really good. They were able to kind of do what they wanted in the game. It was back and forth. Georgia looked good in spots. Some crucial, critical drops on both ends that were probably
Ryan
touchdowns.
Williams.
And then Taylor later in the game.
The Taylor one was bigger than the Ryan Williams one, I think, because the Ryan Williams one happened in the first.
I thought about that, though, but that would have been a touchdown, Ryan Williams, though. So both of them probably would have been 6.
Yeah,
so you kind of cancels it out, but it's in the moment of the game. I get what you're saying. Yep. But if Ryan Williams catches that early one, then they're up by a touchdown, that they get. So then you're getting that back with the Taylor one. But, yeah, it was like it happens. But put it this way. Both crucial, critical, in a sense, touchdown making plays where it's like this is in the money bag, and it's like, wow, you dropped that. So
I think from the Alabama standpoint, I think they really need to get Jeremy Bernard the ball more. The heck with Ryan Williams.
He's a good player.
I think Ryan Williams is a spectacular athlete player. But Jeremy Bernard has been steady. Even in that Florida State game, it felt like he was the only guy.
Yeah, he was their big play. He was their big play guy for sure.
And I know a lot of that has to be with the experience, and he's familiar with the Grubb and DeBoer system, and he knows, and he just he wants to shine because he sat behind Roma Dunze and Kalen Polk, and I forgot who the third guy was at Washington, but he was the 4th guy. Now he's the guy to me. Get him the ball more, get him in, which they have been in this game. They got him some screens and, some little short plays. Their 3 wide receivers are pretty solid with him, Horton, and Ryan Williams.
Like I say, it's good to see Horton back in the lineup, because he's a great problem to have. Like, he's a problem.
Yeah, it could be a matchup problem in certain situations because he could go up and get it. And then Jam Miller being back. You saw it on the last play of the game, but Jam Miller just being that experienced running back, and they were able to run the ball, protect Ty Simpson, and he looked way more comfortable than he did week 1. He just looked like he was scared.
What's crazy? I go back to that Florida State game. I don't even know if he looked scared. It was more so he was pressured heavily, and he was basically, in a sense, rattled. because he's a gamer. He was battling in that game against Florida State.
But I
It
thought
just
I thought I thought the offensive line did a really good job protecting him. It was when he was leaving the pocket when he didn't have to, and that's when he was putting himself in bad situations.
well, that was also the big thing too. I said it to you guys the other day. Like his completion percentage with adding all those drops from the first couple weeks, he's like completing almost like 85% of his balls.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been completing balls at a high clip. It's just more so, that was against Florida State. He didn't play great. Offense didn't play great. Nobody
No,
played good in that game.
no,
So kind of just a collection of bad. And then he had the easy wins or whatever. But I think as the season's gone on, it's one of those things of he's getting more comfortable. I think the offense is coming along. You're getting into a little bit of a flow. And again, I think it looks really good. So now the question is, can he keep those? Like I said, this week is going to be an interesting test for
yeah,
Alabama playing Vandy. So
yeah,
I think definitely the way that they're coming along is a positive sign to where they look like they are coming around to where you're not like because they're not going to get surprised by Vandy this week from last year.
no,
This is a revenge in a sense game, all that type of stuff. But like you look at Bama and you're like, okay, yeah, it's almost like they got shocked week one. I think they totally got shocked.
and that happens. That
It
happens
does,
in
totally
week
does.
one.
It totally does. And like I say, Florida State had a great game plan. Gus Malzahn dialed some stuff up. It was just everything went right for FSU. And like I say, they played well. They played really well. So Bama didn't, and guess what? That's how you lose games. So the question is, in this type of environment where college football, like you can have those games now.
Yeah.
And so now you get the big win against Georgia. Where do you go from here?
Well, then the other thing for Bama is defensively, the guys are starting to drop. They're losing some guys, and you got the next man up mentality, but they're not the guy in front of them. There's a reason why certain guys are starters and certain guys are backups. But I think they have enough on defense to get through the season, but they can't keep losing guys like Latham and up front.
I think that was the other thing too, in my opinion, watching how Bama played defensively against Georgia was not how they played against Florida State.
No.
It's almost like they got their ass chewed.
Yeah.
Like this is not the style of ball we play.
It was more sound, more discipline.
They were flying around. Like Bray Hubbard, for example, he got abused at that Florida State tape where he's like loafing, this, that, and the other.
He created that fumble. What a tackle.
Yeah, he's flying around, hitting people. Overton looks like a freaking beast out there. Like Bama looked good. So now can you keep that consistency up week in and week out with your big games coming up? Like I say, so it'll be interesting to see.
On the Georgia side of things, they got to figure out the passing game. I think when I say figure out the passing game, I think Stockton needs to be more consistent. We've seen him make big throw, like that throw against Tennessee in the corner on fourth down was a hell of a throw. But can you do that the whole football game? Yeah. And then the running game, I thought the running game looked pretty decent with the freshmen, their three backs. And, people are giving Kirby grief on that last run call. I love the call because you have them out of position. If the right tackle just makes his block.
Yeah, he just didn't get blocked.
Cash walks in. He at least gets the first down.
Like I say, were you able to watch that? Yeah.
I saw it. But yeah, it was great insight from Lane. But I felt like even when we were watching the game and I said it, I was like, remember I said it before the play was even ran. I was like, they got him on the right side.
No, and here's the thing.
Just didn't make the freshman didn't make the block.
A lot of people, are critical of Kirby going for it in that situation. And I think it was early enough in the game to where you thought, okay, how we talk about like go for the field goal, go for the touch, go for the first down. There's certain situations in the game where you're like, okay, yeah, we always get into the argument with DH, or I do. I'm like, dude, you got to go for it here. We're never going to get back down here again. In that situation, Kirby's probably like, we got time to get down here again. Let's try to get up on them right here, and let's take advantage of something, and we can always get that field goal back.
But I think also too, Sponge, I think they got to the line so fast, and what their set was, Alabama was misaligned. And he saw it. And I think what happened was if they weren't misaligned, he probably would have called a timeout or taken the 5-yard penalty and kicked the field goal.
He definitely liked the look. And like I
Heck,
say,
I love the look.
the look was there. It just, guess what? This is what happens in football. Like I say, the look could be great, the call could be great.
Yep.
You still got to execute it. And if it's one
Dude,
guy messes up, it's a my bad. And the play
you look at it,
turns out to be
like
bad.
this. Sponge, you look at it like this. You have everyone to the left. The only people to the right of the quarterback are the right guard, right tackle, and the back. And then on the right side for the defense is the defensive end and a backer that's kind of between the guard and tackle. If the tackle just goes up and just hits him, just stays on him, he could just patty cake him and stay on him. Cash is getting up the field to get the first down because I think it was like 4th and 1, 4th and 2. And then if you ran like a speedo to the right, and then with Gunner Stockton in his legs, but in that moment they already had the play call and they have that trigger. Like I'll let you explain what Lane said, but they have that trigger and he called it and it was perfect. And Overton made a hell of a play and the freshman right tackle just missed his block and Cash still almost got out of it and he tripped and stumbled.
Yeah. Well, what's funny was I was trying to remember. Somebody said, Bobo's got to be sleeping with Cash Jones' mom or something. Why is he in the game? You know, what's going on?
I didn't understand that either.
Like I look, hey, Cash Jones has been a good player, but give me Nate Frazier, man.
Or 33. I don't know 33's
Bowens. Yeah, Chauncey Bowens. He was a beast.
He was killing it because you think if he's there, he might be able to break out of it because Overton came in kind of unbalanced and he might have been able to like kind of stiff arm him and fall forward. But the Lane Kiffin thing you said was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was basically him and Herb Street. They were talking about like, the technology of the game has changed so much with the helmet conversations that you can have and talk to your quarterbacks and even your linebackers, get the helmet communication. So they're already on the sideline having communication with the offensive coordinator, and he's basically saying on third down, in this situation, on third down, you're like, hey, you're already telling your OC, hey, if we get it to 4th and 1, we're going. If we get it to 4th and 2, we're going. Here's the play if it's 4th and 1. Here's the play if it's 4th and 2. If it's 4th and 3, we're going to kick. All that stuff is basically said on third down. So then you already know that. So then as soon as it's 4th and 1, you're like, call the play that we called for 4th and 1, and then you go, and you quick snap them, and you like I say, they had the right call. It didn't get executed.
Just didn't execute it.
And like I say, so those things happen. Going back to Gunner Stockton, I think too, they're not. It's kind of reminiscent of conservative Kirby in a sense. Like they only threw it 20 times, so they're not like making them do a lot.
Yeah. But the throws when he's making them, the receivers got to come down with it. That one to Taylor.
That's what I'm saying.
He couldn't throw it any better.
That was a beautiful ball. That's what
he couldn't throw it any better.
If he connects that, his numbers are 14 to 21 for 200 something yards and 2 touchdowns. Then we're talking a totally different game.
And who cares if he scored or not? He just catches the ball and falls down. You're in the red zone. You're within 10 yards, and you like your chances. At least you get 3 to tie it up if you can't get in the end zone. But yeah, it was. And how about the probably the best play of the day for me was the Caden Proctor play, the screen play.
Yeah,
that was. I love listening to Ricky like take his legs out. I'm like, dude, he's 6'7", 350.
Did you see? Now that was pretty cool. On. They did the Kirk and Fowler in the booth, like they were showing the play on the bottom, and then they were on top. Their reaction, like the cameras were on them while they were reading the play and looking at all that stuff. Did you see that video?
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
It's pretty good. Like they're like Fowler's like elbowing Herb Street, like they throw it to the big guy. And, it's like Proctor.
Well, I knew that. I figured that was coming because
Herb's like, yeah, you saw him pop out there.
That set was already. They ran that set earlier in the game.
Yeah, no, like I say, Georgia. Here again,
I still think they're still good. They're still going to be scrappy. They just got to figure out the passing game and they got the passing game and
they're better.
Some information on the back end on the defense.
Yeah, they're better in Kentucky and Auburn. That's their next 2, but then they got Ole Miss after that, and they got to figure that out because Ole Miss looks really good right now. And then they play the cocktail party. And then to close out the year, they got a couple sneaky tough games. They got at Mississippi State and Starkville, who all of a sudden is a tough game. They still got to play Texas this year, late in the year, kind of. They played them a little earlier in the year last year. Then they close out with the Ramblin' Wreck. So like they got. We'll see where they go from here, but I think they're better than Kentucky and Auburn, so they should win those 2 ball games. It's then going to come down to that Ole Miss game and probably Texas, and then we'll see where they're at. Yeah. They can't afford 2 of those losses, a 3-loss Georgia team, then puts you in a bit of a bind.
Yeah.
Because then we're arguing about best wins and all that crap. But
Yeah.
yeah, now let's talk about your favorite football team in America. My favorite football team, the Fighting Drew Allers and Big Game James. Pull it out again. Another loss under the esteemed establishment of Penn State. Penn State fans they're like, we knew this was going to happen. It always happens. We were ready. We were ready for it. We were hyped up. We were ready to go. Yeah, it's
yeah.
I don't. Again, there's not even much to say about it.
They're running. It feels like they're running the same stale offense. They're running the same stale plays. And it's just like it felt like Oregon knew everything they were doing before they did it. And Singleton and the other running, I can't think of his name. Those 2 running backs were running hard. Yeah, Katron Allen and Singleton. They were running hard. And a lot of the yards I think Penn State were getting were due off of their backs of just getting down the field. And then Oregon, Dante Moore coming in for big road win, road start. And I sent you the video of the offensive line where they were doing their silent count. That was that was pretty good. And then I think their offensive line just did a great job the whole night, just going back and watching little different things the last couple of days. And they, what can you say? I figured Penn State was going to lose this game. And then you see that play he throws in overtime and you're just like,
yeah, well, I think my biggest takeaway from the game was, how poor they played, and to be down 17-3, we're like, man, this thing's over, man. They suck.
Yeah, and they fought back. You give them that. They're gonna fight.
They got back into it. They got back into it, and you're like, okay, overtime. What can you do in overtime? And yeah, your quarterback throws a lame duck corner route, and again, dude, when you look at Drew Aller's numbers, it's just like 14 to 25 for 137 yards, and they only ran it for 139 yards. It's like, how did they even get to 100 yards rushing in a sense? And I feel like a lot of it came on that last drive to tie it up.
Then the throw. I think the throw for the touchdown where he probably got majority of his yards of his 100 and whatever you said. I think at that point, the Oregon defense was playing so close to the line of scrimmage, and they called a good play. The receiver got behind the secondary, and he made a throw. And the rest of it, I think Dan Lanning was fine with how that game went.
Yeah, I was impressed with Oregon's defense. I mean, Lanning's, that's going to be his calling card. He loves defense. They were flying around. I think, again, Dante Moore being cool, calm, and collect. Like, I put it this way, he's one of those 5 stars that I really liked coming out of high school. And guess what? He didn't have to get thrust into playing. He got to kind of sit a year. He transferred, sat behind Dylan Gabriel. So he's kind of like, hey, he's a sophomore. He's kind of been around the block, and he didn't let the moment get too big for him. That's kind of his DNA in a sense. And the big thing was, I was more so shocked of how easily they were able to run the ball.
That's what I'm saying. You got to give their offensive line. Their offensive line looked really good, and they were doing a great job.
Now the big question was Lanning on? Was he coked out at the end of that game, man? Like,
dude, he was on one,
bro.
I thought smelling salt, something. He was all red. I mean, that was just a big win.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a big win. I think the problem is being out there in the great Northwest, people forget about you a little bit. They're not saying they're not giving Oregon respect, but you get kind of under the radar, and people they hadn't played anyone yet. So all season he's probably been hearing, Oregon hasn't played anyone yet. You're starting a quarterback who hasn't really played. He sat a year. He played 4 or 5 games at UCLA, and they heard the noise going into the whiteout and talking about it's the greatest environment ever. And it was just a culmination of things. And then by the end of the game, you win in overtime. Your defense makes a hell of a play to ice the game, and he was just excited.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I say, you want to talk about their schedule setting up. Their next toughest game is obviously next week. They play Indiana at home. And then the rest of the schedule, in my opinion, they should handle business. Like, they're better than all these teams. Even if they have like a letdown game, they're just better than Rutgers, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, even USC and Washington. They're just better than those teams.
So their two toughest games are next week in USC.
Yep. And guess what? Both of those games in Eugene
at home.
Yeah. So their schedule sets up nicely.
It was a good week of football.
Yeah. So that was the entire week. Like I think that was the most rehash we've ever done.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Like damn, we're 50 minutes into this thing. We're
not even into the new week yet.
Yeah. The good part is we'll hop right into it. We'll go my game first because I think it could be quick.
Yeah.
Texas, Arch Manning coming to Florida. This was supposed to be game day. This was supposed to be, big game, Arch Manning versus DJ Lagway. This was supposed to be Florida's coming out party. This was supposed to be, Florida being, maybe we have the one loss in the split game against LSU or Miami. And, now they're going to come home and knock off a top 10 team in Texas. Instead, I'm getting the same old BS lines from Billy, Sunbelt Billy. We'll start calling him that again. Sunbelt Billy in his presser talking about DJ Lagway. He's like 2. He's got that look in his eye. Like, what are you effing kidding me, dude? It's almost like, shut the hell. I don't want to hear none of this crap. I don't want to hear that basically, it's 4 weeks now in. This is basically like he'd be going through training camp and this would be his week ready to go. I don't want to hear from DJ Lagway talking about, I'm putting this on my shoulders and the leadership group has had good talks. And I don't want to hear none of that shit. That's all garbage to me. It's all 3 weeks way too late. You missed me with all that stuff. DJ's ready to pop. Yeah, he's ready to pop his Achilles and be out for the rest of the season because it's been a joke, man. And like I say, I'm slap tired of it. And this was the game last year, me going in where I went on my tirade. We'll have to pull the tape on that one. My tirade of we need Billy the hell out of here. And I wish we would have fired him because maybe my damn coach would be Lane Kiffin right now. I know a lot of people don't think Lane Kiffin's the guy. I certainly do. But anyway, I don't want to hear any of that crap. Yeah, Texas right now is challenged on offense. They still do have Arch Manning. Still got Sark calling plays. They still got good players. They're the number 1 defense in the country. So we just saw what Miami dismantled that shitty offense. So what the hell do you think Texas is going to do? I don't even know how is this line 6.5, Faro? How is it not like
I have
20?
no idea. I have no idea.
Take the money, people. Take the money. The Gators are going to get blown out. Like, that's all. I'm done. It's your turn now.
You sure?
There's nothing else to say. Like,
else?
Again, I'm taking.
You've
Texas.
Been holding this in for 2 weeks.
Look them, Texas Longhorns. Hook them down, but they're going to take the win, and they're going to win the game with no problem. Like, even as with the offensively challenged as Texas is, like Sark will dial some stuff up. Arch will probably play his best game of the season. And, 31-10, something like that. Like,
do I even need to say anything?
Yeah, I mean, I know. Put it this way: do you think it's gonna be a blowout, or do you think it's gonna be tight? Like, again, here's the crazy part about it: you go back, late field goal win by South Florida. You throw 5 picks, and you still only lose by a score against LSU. Yes, the game was a 1-score game against you guys. For a while there until but
you had zero confidence that you guys were. All these people that thought that they were still in it I was just what?
The only way we still had a shot was if we would have scored after the Kermani touchdown.
Yeah,
to where we could have tied it up. Then,
but even then, you still didn't have faith in them scoring.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, they would have had to have scored there to tie the game up to basically, like, I'm over here like, I'm clapping it up, like, let's go. But then what do? We get Billy and DJ, calling a play short of the marker, 4th down and 3, and we catch it at 2.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just I got zero confidence in any of the operation until they show me anything different. And so it's like, what would lead me to believe that all of a sudden we got something figured out where we're going to go beat Texas this week?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Going in. Yeah. I mean, the one thing is, can you guys get more than 10 people on special teams? Still doing that. Florida's probably going to be challenged running the ball this week because, like you say, Texas has the number 1 defense in the country and the number 1 rush defense in SEC. But going into this game, Florida they have to run the football. Somehow Get DJ, start using some crossers, start using some like quick plays, not the stupid quick plays they've been running the last 3 years since he's been there. Dallas Wilson's back, so that's a positive.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hopefully they can get the ball to him in VB3, get downfield, still get the running game going. Defensively, I like to. You guys have an opportunity to make some plays on defense, but your guys are they're dropping like flies as well down in Gainesville.
Yeah,
and
we got some bad injuries for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to be positive for you, but I still think Texas wins by more than 6.5.
Yeah, that's what
even
I'm saying.
though I think
literally
it probably would
the
have been
last
10.
3 weeks. The last 3 weeks against LSU, a top 10 team, Miami, a top 10 team, and Texas top 10 team. We've been under a touchdown in each game on the line.
And it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I guess they
still
got some respect. We still got some respect for the logo, baby.
I guess. The score you said 31-10 would not surprise me. I'm thinking probably like between Texas is probably going to score between 24 and 28 because their offense hasn't really did anything to wow you as well. So it could be a low scoring game.
Well, here's what's crazy. So I said 31-10. Mm-hmm. I just looked at it. You see what the over under is? 41. Yeah. So like that's about. I didn't realize that. But yeah, we're gonna lose, so it's all good. Billy Napier will soon be out, and we'll be talking about coaches. But again, we'll talk about that in the next week because after that, we'll talk about them going on the road to Texas A&M next week and losing that game. So moving on to the big game, baby. It was supposed to be a top 10 matchup. Florida State pissed down their leg, like Coach 30 would say. You pissed down your leg. You came out like your mama did, and you suck. But hey, it's still a top game because it's the Florida State Miami rivalry. Feels like it's back to like a big time game. Your first road game going on the road to Tallahassee. Florida State obviously played really well week 1 at home against Bama. Had the letdown last week at Charlottesville. I still like the Canes. I just feel like Miami. I feel like Florida State doesn't match up with what Miami's got. Offensive line, defensive line. I think you got better quarterback play. I think all across the board on each level, I think you're just a little bit better. But again, I think Florida State could be scary in this game. They're going to play up. I think they're going to get off the mat. But I like what Miami's got going on. I think you're too talented enough to basically lose this game. But I can see it being a closer game. I mean, the line has kind of not been really big and it's kind of shrunk down. It was close to a touchdown. Now it's down to 4.5. I don't know. What's your fake? What's your take? What do you feel? What are you thinking?
How does Florida State bounce back off a loss? That's the first take, and then the second one for me from Miami. The last several years under Mario, coming out of a bye week, hasn't been good.
Yeah.
Finally got off that schneid, I think, last year. So how does Miami come off the bye week and then the passing game? Does Carson and the receivers and the tight ends get back on pace of what they were before the Florida game? Because the Florida game, they just looked terrible.
Right.
So offensively, what I want to see from Miami, we're going to run the football. We're going to do that. Will it be successful? Hopefully, if we could get over 200 yards rushing, I like that. Like I said, Florida State comes out in that 3-3-5 defense. I like our chances against it. It comes down to offensively, can we not stall?
Yeah, I was going
to stall.
After you went through what you thought, I was going to be like, that's going to be the biggest thing in my opinion, because I think we feel like it's going to happen at some point in time in the game. It just will. It's like natural. There'll be a lull in the game. You'll go a possession or two where you won't do anything.
You just can't go more than 3.
And so the big thing on that is, you got to hold serve and play defense and not let them either score and get back into it if you're up, or vice versa or whatever. But yeah, I think that's a big thing, because it just feels like it is what you guys do. It happened in the Notre Dame game. It happened in the Gator game. It's probably going to happen. Yeah, it's probably going to happen in this game. It happened, in this game last year.
Yeah. It happened a lot last year.
Yeah. So I agree. I agree with you 100% on that. You got to weather that, and how you do that is going to be a big thing. And, like if you're up by 2 scores, don't let all of a sudden you go 2 empty possessions and Florida State goes and scores twice and ties it up. You gotta get a stop on one of those, where you don't move it.
I feel like even if we stall, when I say stall, can't go 3 and out.
Yeah, quick 3 and out. Exactly.
Can we get drives like in the Florida game? We stall midfield, like 2 or 3 straight possessions where we probably could have went for it on a 4th and 3, 4th and 4. But
Right.
Mario, he probably said they can't move the football on this
Right.
defense, so we're just going to punt and just play field position. So on the Miami side of things on offense, do not stall, run the football. Can we get plays? Are we going to figure out, can we get Malachi Tony in some situations to where he's going to be successful? I like the tight ends this week. We got to get, I'm going to say this every week until the tight ends get involved. We got
Elijah
very
Lofton.
talented tight
Yeah.
ends. Florida State side on the defense, what I can see them doing, they're going to get out of that 3-3-5, put that fourth guy down on the line of scrimmage. They're going to blitz Carson. They're going to give him different looks. If I was them, I'm blitzing. I'm giving him simulated pressure as well, and try to do what Florida did. Try to confuse him a little bit to make it to errant throws, because we all know Carson's good for an errant throw here and there, but defensively, we've been pretty good. On the flip side, for Miami on the defense, can we contain Castellanos with our front four? Can our front four dictate the game? That's what it's going to come down to. That's going to be the key to the game. Can the front four dictate the game to where if he tries to get out, we're giving him short runs and no explosives? And then our secondary is going to finally be tested this season. And we can't be out, got to play sound defense, communicate, don't give up explosives. What Gus Malzahn loves to do is the shifts and motions. And, he'll motion everyone to the right. Then all of a sudden there's going to be a reverse back to the left. They've been pretty good. The defensive line and linebackers have been pretty good to be in position and make those plays. You can't let a guy like Danzy get down the field or come around a corner and then take it for 70. Florida State on offense, I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to shift motion and then a lot of 5 wide sets to see what Miami's going to do at the beginning of the game. Do you leave that spy in there, or are you going to leave 4? So if you put that spy in there, you're going to go one-on-one across the board and then go from there. So we got to control Tommy C and eliminate Danzy on the big plays, but also stop the running game. They've been really good running the football with Sawchuk and Cam Davis and Kamara this year.
Yeah, no, they've been, like I say, I said it before when we talked about the Virginia game, they're the number 2 rushing team in the country.
Mm-hmm.
They've done a hell of a job. And what's weird is, like, Sawchuk, it's just weird that, like, I would have never thought he would have been like
the guy over Cam Davis.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know, but, like, again, the guy came out of nowhere, but he's toting the rock really well.
Mm-hmm. But they spread you out. They spread you out, and they run the football.
I think this will be an interesting test for your 2 stud ends, Bain and Mesidor, like you said, because the great equalizer on a pass rush is a mobile quarterback. Can he get out of there? Do they over pursue? Do they lose contain? All that.
Just not Bain and Mesidor, because they're going to be running after him so much. Lightfoot and Blunt that come in afterwards. Can they keep up that pressure as well?
For sure.
Because they're going to be rotating a lot of defensive linemen.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, like, I want to see that matchup to where, as long as, like you say, Castellanos is going to get some yards. He's going to get some pops. So the thing is, like we always say, when it comes to, like, running quarterbacks, just don't let him get the huge explosive, contain him enough, let him get what he can get and just get after him, to where he's not just running all over the field.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, I think obviously their big play guy is Deuce Robinson, so he's going to be a little bit of a matchup problem for anybody. He's huge. So can they get him the ball again like they did against Virginia? And like I say, that'll boil down to your secondary getting tested. But going flip side too, Miami offensively, obviously we know that offensive line is big and physical. I feel like you can run the ball. Obviously you look at what Virginia did last week. Now, will they change something up? Yeah, probably will.
They will.
But I do like Fletcher. I like all your backs. And then, like I say, Carson, just don't make any stupid mistakes. Just play within the game. Get your offensive guys involved. Like you say, get the tight ends involved for sure. But Malachi Tony's been huge in this early part of the season. I like the matchup for Miami's. I feel like they just don't match up with you guys. And, again, going off the board, this Florida State team, we'll really see if this Florida State team is a new and improved Florida State team and not the 2-10 team and kind of had a facade week 1 against Bama.
Yeah, I do. It's going to be electric, man.
I do think they're
going to be a fun game.
I do think they're better. I do think they're way better than last year. and it showed because they got that week 1 win, and they really
Mm-hmm.
piled up a lot of points and dominated the scrub teams. So yeah, I think that definitely the environment's going to be great. I think it's going to be a good atmosphere. Doak renovated and revitalized and all that stuff. So yeah, it's going to be a fun matchup. But I feel like the Canes win. I feel like you guys win. I think what ends up happening is it might be tight, like it was against the Gators, and then they'll get a couple late scores and kind of win comfortably going away. Is
Yeah,
how I feel.
I can see
Is how I
that.
feel. So yeah, go Canes. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's
F Florida
go.
State. Florida State will have 2 losses then. 2 losses for the Noles. 2 ACC losses for the Noles. All right, who else you like? Obviously, the big game day matchup is the rematch revenge game of Diego Pavia going to Tuscaloosa and Alabama Crimson Tide. Do you think can Vandy pull the upset 2 years in a row?
I before watching the Georgia Alabama game, I was leaning that way, but I like what I saw from Alabama on offense.
Yeah,
on Saturday. And defense, like I say, defensively, I want to see Bama on defense because, like I say, guys are dropping. They look way more sound, but I like Bama in this one. Can they contain Diego Pau? It comes down to you
the
can't.
line's big on this one, dude.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it just comes down to like with the Florida State Miami game. Can you control the other team's quarterback and not let him get out of the pocket and make big plays? Because we know that's what Pavia wants to do. Pavia wants to make big plays, and his favorite target is Eli Stowers. I expect Bama to kind of, he's a mismatch at tight end, so I expect Bama to probably try to shut him down. I like Bama in this one. I think Bama is gonna. I think they're gonna write last year.
Yeah, I like Bama too. I do. Again, going back to Vandy, Vandy's done great things this year, but
Mm-hmm.
again, their one signature win is they beat the hell out of South Carolina when Sellers got kind of banged up in that game. The
Mm-hmm.
rest of their games, Charleston Southern, Georgia State, Utah State, and then they beat Virginia Tech, who fired their coach. So they haven't really played the level of competition of some of these other teams. Again, I won't take nothing away from that South Carolina one. That's a great road win.
I guess what you gotta worry about is Bama still on that high after a big
Right.
win, leaving UGA,
Well, I think
leaving Athens.
the best part about it is the fact that they're playing Vandy the week after, because again, I think they played. I think this is the same thing that happened last year. I think Georgia beat Vandy, or the week that Vandy beat them didn't. I think that was the week they beat Georgia last year, where Bama
I think so.
was, and it kind of was like, what,
It was a close game. Yeah, the Ryan Williams catch and all of that.
Yeah, you had Milrow playing like crap. He threw the pick
Mm-hmm.
six, tip ball, and all that. And put it this way, there's no creeping up in this game. Like,
No.
Bama has the full attention of Vanderbilt. Like,
Yeah.
hey, this team is undefeated. They're fully capable. Game day's coming here. Like, all that stuff is, they don't have like the blinder. They got the blinders on to where all the outside noise of like, we're playing Vandy. We just beat Georgia. I think it's almost good that it's like
They
the week after.
refocus. Yeah, you would want to say after that win, they refocus quick and be like, hey, we can't lose to Vandy
This team
again.
beat us last year. We owe them one, and we cannot lose to
Mm-hmm.
these guys again. So I think, I put it this way, I think Vandy can kind of bang with them just because I think their style of play is gritty and scrappy. But I think Bama, just because I think they're playing at a high level. I think Ty Simpson's playing good ball. So yeah, I like Bama to win too. I don't like I said, the line's 14.5. No, it's shrunk. It started at 14.5. It's down to 10.5.
Mm-hmm.
So I like them to cover that. I think they can win by 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, dog. Who's your other circled games
Uh
that you got? Because the slate is not as sexy as it
no, it's
was
not as
last
sexy.
weekend.
No. I
There's
only
still
got like
yeah.
I only got 3 or 4 more. How does UGA bounce back against Kentucky? It should be one of those games where you think we can come in and dominate Kentucky. We know defensively, Kentucky under Mark Stoops is going to come out and they're going to be physical. They're going to have a lot of effort. I want to see the Georgia passing game. How does the Georgia passing game? Do they get better? Do they work on it? We know they could run the football. We know they're going to play defense. In order for them to get back in the SEC race and in the playoff race, they got to figure out a way how to throw the football and just get it down the field and complete passes.
Yeah, I think they
Yeah,
handle.
they're going to beat Kentucky. It's just I want to see how the offense looks.
Yeah, no, I agree.
The next one, Minnesota going to Ohio State. We need to see more from Ohio State. Like you said, before this past week, we didn't know anything about Ohio State since the first game of the year. What does Minnesota do against Ohio State? Ohio State's probably going to win this game, and they're going to win it easy. I want to see Sane and those receivers, and because you can't go out to Washington and only put up 24, and most of those 24 come in the second half. Do they get out fast, and can they put up points in the first half against Ohio State? Might be our sneaky team of the year, Mississippi State going to TAMU.
Yeah, no, that's a great game.
That should be a fun game. That's going to be a night game alongside of the Florida State Miami game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all those games right here are 7:30 kicks.
Yeah, 7:30 kicks. I think A&M is going to win, but seems like they need to figure out some things on offense as well.
Yeah, no,
outside of the Notre Dame game, they haven't been lighting it up.
That line is 14.5. Like that's kind of crazy to me because Mississippi State's banged with everybody. Shoot, give me those 14.5
and putting up points.
That's what I'm saying. They're scoring. Give me them points. Give me them points. I'll take Mississippi State.
I think just staying on this game or Mississippi State in general is finally Jeff Lebby has time to get his guys in there and get his implementation. He got thrown into a crazy, I won't say bad situation.
I mean, hell, it's only year 2. It's year 2, you know.
But they were talking about firing him last year.
I know.
Which is crazy. It's like the Mike Leach situation, and he had to take over, and then they just were ready to run him out of there. And it's like, all right, Mississippi State, who are you going to get better? Who are you going to get as a coach that wants to come to Mississippi State where there's so many challenges already, and then to take over this guy because they're going to be like, hey man, this guy took over for Mike Leach, and you're not giving him any time to grow or figure out his system or anything like that. So I think Texas A&M is going to sneak out a game. I don't think they cover.
Yeah. I'll take those 2 touchdowns for sure.
Yeah, and then the last one I have. Go ahead, my bad.
No, I know. I want to see your last one because I got a sneaky game too.
So the last one I have, I want to see Virginia. How do you come off a big win going into Louisville? Because like you say, we're in conference play now. So every loss mounts up. And UVA, they already have one against NC State. I think that counted as an ACC game. There's those weird games where they play each other, but not towards conference. I think Louisville still has enough talent with Miller Moss at quarterback, Isaac Brown at running back. So how do you, when you're on top of the mountain, how do you handle success? And I want to see if Virginia handles the success and go into Louisville and win that game.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. My sneaky game, Texas Tech at Houston.
That is a sneaky one. Yeah.
Like, Houston, they're undefeated right now. They're playing good defense with my boy Austin Armstrong out there, Connor Wegman at quarterback. They didn't really do a lot. I thought they were going to blow out Oregon State because Oregon State hadn't looked good at all. And they kind of were in a little bit of a banger. Maybe I don't know if they were taking that game lightly. It was one of those. That was a Friday night game, I think, too. So Texas Tech's got all the hype. They're almost a top 10 team on the road. Like I say, that's my sneaky game. The line's only 10.5. They're favored by 10.5. But I think that could be a ripe upset. Who knows? But I think
they just coming off a bye week. I think Texas Tech.
Yeah, they haven't played since
after that Utah game.
Yeah. So, other than that, really
nothing really.
Yeah, no other.
I'll be looking at the week. We don't see anything, but I'm sure Saturday there's going to be something that might.
This game earlier in the year, like it's just a weird game. Boise State at Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's playing a lot better now.
How about Carr? What is he, like 22 of 28 for like 300 bills?
Yeah, they lit Arkansas's ass.
Man, Sam Pittman was set up.
Yeah,
he was. Did you hear the AD after they fired him?
No.
He basically said that they didn't spend money.
Yeah,
and they weren't going to win an SEC because Arkansas wasn't going to spend money. And then I guess there's this rumor. I heard one on Chuck Elliott. They had like a Arkansas guy on there, and he was saying that he believes some big booster basically told Petrino, "I got you." So if he keeps that job, and all of a sudden money's starting to flow in for Arkansas football, that screams that Pittman was set up to not win.
Yeah, he's like I say, he's terrible. I was reading some here. I guess Lane was on one of these things, and he's like, his quote was, "I wanted to be Steve Spurrier." Like somebody was
Oh my
like,
God, you're getting giddy. You're getting giddy now.
some Gator fan was like, "Well, Lane, hear me out, Lane."
You're getting. Hey, but if they keep winning and go to a
No,
playoff,
that's
he's
what I'm
not
saying.
leaving.
Again, I
So you got
know.
to start. You got
I,
to start rooting
I,
against him.
I trust. I'm already want them to lose. Like, let's go. Whoever's playing Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Come on, Georgia. Come on, Mississippi State, Egg Bowl. Let's go. Like, I need some losses to start piling up for Lane. I need Chambliss to throw some picks.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, their schedule to me kind of sets up well for them, But we'll get into the coaching search for the Florida Gators here, and maybe next week. Who knows? Maybe that was the poll question or whatever. Are you rooting for the Gators to get their ass kicked Saturday and just get embarrassed so that the coach can get fired? Or are you still rooting for your team to win, and still having to stick around? And I'm to the point, I'm rooting for my guys. I hope they win.
I think the problem is the AD and not having a president.
Oh, that is the number one problem with not having a president. But
because then this guy just continues to make decisions that probably aren't the right decisions.
Scott Strickland sucks, bro. I can't
I've
stand
been saying
him either.
that. I've been saying that too.
I've never liked him when he ever got here. It was like, damn it, Jeremy Foley. Like, I love Jeremy Foley, but like I say, it is what it is. We'll ride it out and just, hope for the best.
Mm-hmm.
And, probably going to have the worst, but it is what it is. Go Gators, go Canes,
good weekend of football.
Beat Texas, beat the Noles, and enjoy the rest of the games. Roll damn tide, I guess, is where we're back. We're back to that. Where's my dad when you need him? Let's go, Bama, but yeah, no, appreciate everyone.
Oh yeah, this would be F Texas week for Big Bill.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know him. He's
nice. That's what I'm saying.
Nothing
like,
about
Dad,
Texas he likes.
You want to go to this game? You want to go to this game, Dad? Like, yeah, let's go to this game, baby. Let's go.
I don't know. Big Bill probably would have been rowdy and just
No, he would have been hyped.
He would have been.
Yeah, like I said,
everyone knew him as a calm, quiet guy.
I'm glad. You know what? I forgot too. Because I remember, the Gators don't have any noon windows, which is great.
Yeah.
But I for some reason I was thinking it was already set as a night game, so I'm glad it's not a night game. I'm glad it's 3:30. Yeah. That way I can watch that game, get our brains beat out, and then enjoy the Florida State Miami game.
Yeah, I would have been on the patio.
Yeah,
because I know you would have wanted the Florida Texas game on the TV, and I wouldn't have been mad, but I would have been sitting on the patio watching the Florida State Miami game.
There you go, for sure. But
yeah,
all right, people, like, subscribe, holler at us, yell at us, and we'll be back at you again. Time. We'll be back at you again. Hopefully with some victories, man. We need some victories.
Hopefully,
I need some victories. The Canes are going to get a victory. Damn it. Let's go. Let's go. All right, dog. Appreciate y'all. Holler at your boys. Until another one. We'll see you next week.